All right. Hello, data fan. This is Rodrigo. How are you doing? So I'm recording this live session to build a data collection app in Tableau Public, and I hope this will help people in the future because I'm getting some emails and DMs about how I build this process. I have a blog post about it. That is not this one. It's this one. So I'll put this on the comments at the end. But I want to go through the steps to show how this can be created. Okay. So again, you can see by the blog here that this is not something new. Something that is very well known in the community, how to use URL actions, and you can submit a form in Google Sheets or Google Form, and then the data from your Tableau workbook will flow to Google Sheets via Google Form. So as you can see here, the first step is to create a form. So let me go to Google Drive. So I'm going to open Google Drive, and I'm going to my account here, my Tableauing channel, and then I'm going to create a new Google form. Okay, so I'm going to call this data collection app, and then I'm going to build a very simple form. So the very simple form will have a question here that is uh, gender, and then we can do like female, male, and prefer not to say other. So I'll just go to with the basic ones. Again, I'm just creating a very simple form so we can use the parameters and the features in Tableau to send data back to this form. And I'll add a second question that is, let's see, what question I could have here. You could see name. So it could be the name of the person, so I'm going to put the name before the gender. And then let's do here Tableau public URL. Okay, so it's a URL, and then Google Sheet to add a legal validation. So this will be a very simple form with three fields: name, gender, and Tableau public URL. Okay, so this is step number one on the process to create a form. Step number two, if I'm not mistaken, is to click here, not this one. Oh yes, you can click on the preview, or you can click in more. Let's do here more, because I need the pre-filled link. So when I go to the get pre-filled link, I need to fill the form. So I'm going to fill with my name, my gender, and then my Tableau public, which is this one. Okay, I'm going to click here. So I'm going to fill this with my data, but I'm just going to get the link. You'll see here that Google sends share this link, and so it can copy the link. And what I do, I paste that link in a notes file. Okay, so I can paste the link here. It's going to look very small. So let's try to make it very big. Okay, so everybody can see the form. Okay, so before we go to Tableau, we're going to start looking at this form, because this part here is the key for making the form works. You see that this is calling an action for view form, and that's not what I want. what I want from the process here is to replace the view form with form response. Okay, so I'm going to copy this here. Okay, I need to copy everything because you see there is this IFQ, etc. So I'm going to replace everything that's in red with this thing here. So I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to go the view form, USPL, URL, and I'm going to paste the form response, etc. So this is one of the changes. The second change, I can clear them. I can clear my data, which I can put here param name. So I'm going to just to create these fields, param name, and then here param gender, and the last one is param. Let me put in brackets. So param URL. Okay. So basically with this, I have a link that I will send a response to Google Sheets, and I'm going to send these parameters from Tableau to Google Sheets. And then, in fact, I'm going to send to Google Form, and if I go to my form now, I can click in responses and create a spreadsheet. Okay, this will be spreadsheet. You can give you their own name. So this will make the data flow from this form to this spreadsheet. So I'll leave it open here because we're going to do the app in Tableau, and we are going to see some live data getting to this form. Okay, so let's jump to Tableau Public. So I'm going to create the tiniest data source that we can have. In fact, I don't even need to create a data source. Why are you doing that, Rodrigo? You have a data source now in Google Sheets. So I'm going to pick the data source that's basically empty. So I'm going to go to my channel here, going to allow, then I'm going back to Tableau, and here it is, my data collection app, it's here. Again, I can use this later to get I think I need one record to make this work, but let's see until the end. I think I need to send one record to the form to make everything works, because otherwise the URL action I don't think is gonna work. But anyway, let's continue. So I have here, and just to avoid coming back and forward, I'm going to submit this information. So I'm going to get the link, copy the link, and I'm going to paste the link here. This is going to view the form. Remember, I don't want to view the form, I want to submit. So as soon as I submit, I'll have one record on my data source. So let's see that I have a record here. Yes. So I have a record. Great. So I think this will make everything works here. So let me just go to sheet number 1. I'm going to right click the data source and refresh. And I guess now I have data here. Okay, so I have data, my URL is here, etc. So basically this process works on parameters, like I was mentioning during when I was building the form. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to copy this before I start, because I don't want to keep going back to notes. And I'm going to add a caption, and this will be my URL right here, so I can see it all the time when I'm on this one. And maybe I have a space here. Let me see. No, it's not, it's just the size of the font. Okay, so let's start creating these parameters. So I need to parameter name, a parameter gender, and a parameter URL. So I'm going to go here, create a parameter. This will be name, and this will be a string, and this can be empty, and that's fine. So that's the parameter name. I can duplicate the parameter name, right click, duplicate, and I can basically just rename it to the gender. Of course, the gender, it can be a little more interesting than just a string, so I can build here male, female. That will be a little more interesting to fill up. And the last one is the URL, so not a calculated field. I'm going to duplicate again, and then I can click here, URL. So I have my 3 parameters right here. So again, I think now I am on step. I go back here, so I created this, step 4. So here's my first, I connect the data, then I create my field. So you see, I'm almost at the end of my process. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to right click and show my parameters. So let's go back here. So let's show, why can I, well, that's interesting. Okay, so let's start building the button here. So the button will be submit. Okay, so I can create a inline calculation. Can I show the parameter now? Yes, okay. So you see, you need a field on the view to show the parameters. Alright, so I'm going to show the 3 parameters: name, gender, female, male, and URL. And now I'm going just to change this to be a text, submit. I can do some quick formatting here, like 12, centralize, apply. I can do this entire view, and I can centralize everything, so the button will be always in the middle. And to the end, I can format and add some row dividers, like this one, and then a column dividers, this one. So now if I just do standard, and you can see now the button is start to get into a shape. Okay? Alright, so this said, so I need to build this field now. So I need to build the data, this URL. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a calculated field, and I'm going to use this string here. In fact, I don't even need that. I can create that straight in the URL action. So forget about that. So let's go now to create my dashboard. So again, I'm not using any data from my original file. So basically, that's just to have a data set. It could be a single row with anything on it to be enough to create the form and the parameters. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to call this button. So I'm going to create the dashboard. It can be this way, you know. I think this is a good size for this form. So I'm going to put a vertical container, and I'm going to drag the button, because the button will bring all my parameters. So I can now bring the button here. So basically my form is done. It looks very ugly, I know, but that's basically the minimum you need to get the form done. So what I can do, I need to add a URL action to this button. So let's see if I'm doing everything correct here. So the dashboard, actions, but I think I need a, okay, let's see here. So I'm going to add a URL action, and I'm going to paste the URL that came from Google. And I'm going to replace here my placeholders with the actual parameters. So param name, so I'm going to replace these with name. Okay? Yeah, I'm missing the fields because I didn't add those fields in. Okay, so let's go here, the gender, it goes here, and then the URL, it goes here. Alright? So I'm missing the field. So let's go, I want to go this on select, and I'm going to add a web object, just so I want this button to act on the web object and show me the form. So this can be an empty object, and sorry that if I'm going too fast, but I think it's something we can you can pause and return later, okay? So I have a web object which is empty here, and then I can submit and nothing is happening. So I think the best way will be to create some fields here. Okay, so I think I need to create, I think I'll have a problem because my names are the same as the name of the parameters names are the same of the names of my fields. So let's change some things here. So instead of name, I'll say here input name, input gender. Okay, and now I think I need to let's let's go back to my instructions here. So I have this, submit. Yes, I have the button. Okay, the age, view the form. To make sure that you need to create a dashboard action. See, that's exactly what I was doing. This is the link. You should now be able to send the form. So let's try again here. Okay, so I have the input gender. Let's go back here to see if the URL action works. So here we are. Let's call this, let's see, gender name. So this needs to be input name, and this needs to be input gender. Yes, that's why Tableau was mixing up the fields that I have from the data source with the parameters that I have. So never name your parameters as this with the same label of your field. That can cause some problems. It calls it just one here. It can cause many more other problems. So I'm calling this button Google Sheet, Google Form action. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the web object. So I'm going to select that I want this button to act on this web object. Okay. So let's go here. So let's do here which one, is there anyone in the chat? Let me see, there is nobody in the chat, only me. So I'm going to pick someone. So which public, let's see here, who can I get here? So let's find Ken Furlach here. Right? Tableau. Let's pick his. Let's register Ken. Why not? Okay, so I'm going to pick the URL, and I'm going to Tableau. I'm going to pick Ken Furlach. So mail, and here's the URL. So if this all works, if I click submit, it's going to show here the form saying you submitted a record. Okay, that's it. Okay, so it worked. Hooray! So let's go back here, and here's Ken's entry on the data source. See, it happened. You see, I create all these in less than 10 minutes, so it's pretty quick. Okay, so what's the problem of this form at this moment? There is no validation. If I fill nothing here and I submit, I'll submit something without Ken's name. Of course, I could go back to my form and make all the fields mandatory. Okay, but then look what's gonna happen. If I miss a field, okay, if I miss a field, it's going to show this to the user. I don't want to show this to the user. I don't want to show an error. I want Tableau to validate this and activate the button only when these only when the two conditions, because input, the gender is you cannot unselect. So that's, you need input, and then so I need to check these two fields, and then that's where I need to, and then create a rule to see if this is not empty and this is not empty, then this button shows up. I can also validate the URL, and Google will validate the URL for me as well. Here there is a URL validation, so you can validate on both ends to make your form a little more your dashboard form or the Google Sheets, Google Form, to have the validation on both ends, so user is not allowed to create a invalid entry and end up in a screen like this. So how would that be? So let's go back to the button. I think I don't need this anymore, so let's remove the caption. So I just need to create so I need to move this here so I have the button. Okay, so now I have a field button. So let's validate that button. Okay, so I want this button. So this will be my last validation on this. So I'll check the parameter. So if is null, I don't think I can do a is null the parameter, but so let's do, yeah. So if is null input name. Okay, so if is null, then I'll create a text. So fill form. Okay. Else you'll be submit end. So let's see if this one works. It seems it's going to work. So let's see here if I apply. So it's not showing submit. Is it empty? I think it's empty, but I don't think this empty is the same thing as this here. So what I can do, I can create a calculated field. Let's see how that works. Okay, so let's try again here. So I'm going to say is null input name. Okay, so let's see what happens if I just drag this to here. Okay, you see the parameter is not empty, is blank, but that's not empty, so that's why it's saying false. So what I can do here is that, let's try here, if input gender is equal to blank, then to else false, and let's see what happens now. Okay, so I'm going to, yeah, so this is the same field, so maybe I need a space here. Yeah, so still not working. So no, it's not input gender, it's input name. That's the good of having a live. You can do all these messes. Okay, so now it's true. So if the input name is empty, then true, else false. So I can now use this calculation on my button here. So let's change this here. So if input name then in true, else, then I can change here to complete form, else false. Okay, else submit. Okay, let's see the button now, how it looks. Yes, complete form. Okay, so that's amazing, right? It's working, perfect, right? Not really, because the button is still working. The button is still here. So let me clear this so you can see that. You can see that this is still working. Okay, so let's complete form. See, it's still working because the action is still here. I need to change how I create this form and create this action to make this only show up when I want the button to show up. So I think I have several ways to validate this. I prefer not to show the button, but then I can show just a text and then float a button on it. So there are several ways to do this. I don't need this field here, but let's try something interesting. Okay, so what I can do is I can also do a sheet swap, which is if I am on these, if these are nulls, I have, I can put these fields here and then only show when both are not null. But let's try something here. So if input input name is empty, then 2 else. Now let's do the 2. If end URL again is empty, then false, else 2 end. So this will be a validation. Again, this is a very basic validation. You can also check if the URL starts with HTTPS. So how we can do that? So if input name is this one, so I can just do an indent here, and URL. Again, there are several ways to validate this. So I'm going to try just to show a little more advanced. So and starts with URL, and then I put here HTTPS. Okay, and well, but so if it's empty and HTTP, but then I need to check and starts with HTTPS. Okay, let me clear this. I think this is wrong, but I just want to see if the calculation is valid. So if input name is equal empty and then false, yeah, I need to. I can check this several ways. So let's try this one. So form validation. Okay. So I'm going to create another button. So it's the inactive button. Okay. So I'm going to add the form validation as true. It should be false. So let's put the show here, and show here. Again, these fields are empty, but I think I need these because my rule is doing this. So yes, now it's false. Yeah, I need to change that thing to, and I don't know if I can do this. Okay, let's try this. Let's try. I'm trying. I did that a lot before, but you know, lives are, yeah. So let's do this because, yeah. So when these two are, being false. So let's see here, edit. Yeah. So the two conditions are okay. So it's false. So now I can create here the button complete form. Okay, and then I can even copy formatting of this one to paste formatting here and move this here. Let's paste the formatting again to see if the text goes. No, but let's edit to be 12. Okay, so I have now an inactive button, right? Can even do gray background if I want, so I can do here a gray background in my button. Okay, forget about the worksheet, it's not gonna be relevant. But here I have a complete form. I can go here to have, yeah, that's fine. So let's do the shading a little lighter. Okay, so I have complete form and I have a okay. So this one I need to go here, form validation, and this I need to change here so it works. So I need to redo my validation here in the button because I really don't need to validate it anymore. I'm just showing. So this can be simply as that. Again, there are several ways to validate this. So then I go in here. So I'm going to fill like rod and HTTPS, because this should show as a 2 now, because I'm filling the two conditions that I wrote in my formula. So this will be the true for the button, and this will be the false. Again, the button disappears. Again, so I think I'm done, so I can do a sheet swap here. So I'm going to put here a vertical, did I do let's do a horizontal container here. So I'm going to add this here to the container, and I'm going to add the other to the container. I'm going to hide the title. I'm going to put fit entire view, and I'm going to do the same here, fit entire view. Okay, for some reason this is still showing. I can float this on top of that. I can do a lot of things, but let's see why this is still, because I don't think I have a measure, so I guess to be able to I think I need an axis or something. Yeah, to see this disappears the button. Again, I'm doing on the fly, so if you're having fun, yeah. So here's the button now. So let's because you need an axis for this sheet swap to work. So I'm going to show the header. In fact, I need to show that header because I want it to finish in one. Okay, so here I have my complete form. So let's change the color here. I don't need to go to the format anymore. So this is the complete form. So this is my button format. I think I can take, okay, I can take this off. So here I have the button. Again, I can, so this is the button. Why I'm missing? Because I think I need to have a border now. Yeah, the border is there. It's standard, so it's not showing under. So let me reduce this a little. Oh, okay. All right. So that's the inactive button, and I think I need to do the same on here. Okay, so we're going to build this. It's gonna work eventually. So I'm going to again format. Okay, so I'm going to take away the row dividers, the column dividers, the zero lines, and I'm going to again do this to start here. Okay, because now if I hide this and I put the two conditions back, it should show, yeah, the button there. Okay, so the button is here. I can even do a nice color. It can be a square. Yeah, so there is the button. Can do a white with a border. Again, I'm just going as quick as I can because I'm losing the time here. Yeah, so you see, I still didn't validate the same way as Google, but you got the idea, right? You can build those validations here. Okay, so for some reason my logic is not disappear, so so this should be fit entire view, this should be fit the entire view. So for some reason this is still not working on the sheet swap. I really don't know exactly what I'm doing wrong here. Okay, so let's go here on columns. I don't think it's gonna, oh, that improved a little, but now no condition is being validated, which is weird. So it's because I had a space here or something. Yes, complete form is there. So let's try here to add like a 50. Yeah, so why this one is still showing up? Maybe because I fixed the axis, I don't know. So let's here doesn't. Okay. Okay, but you got the idea. You could have like, so Rodrigo, Colony again. So for some reason this one is already enough to go and show the button. That's interesting. So what's my validation? Why is it not working? So if input name is and not. That's interesting because it should be false. Yeah, both are not. They both are not being. It's not. They're not working together. Okay, so I'm glad I'm the only one watching this. Okay, so let's put it a little bigger. Let's take that zero line away. Yeah. Okay. All right. So what can I do here? So let's again. I want this to both to show this complete form. You see, when I click on complete form, nothing happens, and that's what I want to show. Okay. When I click here complete form, I don't have anything happening. So I need to complete the form so this button shows up. But I don't have any idea why these two forms are not standard, entire view. So did I set the size? No, it's not the size. The size is, that's very weird. Anyway, so let's go back here to this complete form because the logic here is not working. Because see, it should not disappear. So let's go back. So let's try a different validation then. So if this if input is at end URL and contains URL, I think I'm doing the validation backwards, but let's try. Then, so if input name, so let's do this as the complete, then true, else false, and if input name, so this is empty, so this should be false, and this should be true, and I think that this not contain is not, yeah, so, all right. Okay, so I really did those validations before. I can cheat and copy from one of my workbooks that I did. So let's go to my account here. Because I did those Star Wars visualizations and they have validation. So let's see what I did then. Okay, so here are my visits, and then here the Star Wars. Let's go back because I did some validation on this guy. So let's try to add it. Hopefully it's gonna open. So here's my trivia, and then see the buttons, they don't show up. Thankfully the music shows up, so let's mute this. So I have several things going on here, so let's see how this field works. Okay, so I have here selected trivia and check Twitter. So see, I'm doing validations individually, so that's the best alternative. So let's see, check Twitter, check Twitter. So edit. You see, I'm checking Twitter several ways. So if it's null, then false. So, but you see, I'm checking a field, and I'm not checking the parameter. So that may be the reason. So I'm not checking the parameter, I'm checking the field Twitter. Yeah. So let's go. So I have Twitter. See, I have this Twitter field. So let's try this way then. So I'm going to create here a field which is gender, and this will be the input gender. I'll go back to the gender always. Let's go to the name, and that will be input name. Okay. So this is my first field. So let's do the validation on these guys. So if name, again I can check Twitter here, I can see what I was doing here. So if it's null, then false, and da 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 da. So I can do this. So if is null name, then false, else true. Okay, so that's really my first check. Okay, so let's change. Yes, so let's change these to name check. Okay, so if I put Rodrigo, that's valid, so that works. So let's do now the other check, the URL check. Okay, so let's see here how I was doing the other check. So I have a filter, selected trivia. Selected trivia, let's see how this works. This is just a quick field. So let's go back to my here. So I want to check the URL. So if URL, so if starts with URL, then I'm going to put HTTPS. Okay. Then true, else, false. Okay. So this will be the URL check. Again, I didn't create a field here. Let's see if this works. So I'm going to create here, and this is not bringing anything. So let's see if it starts with URL HTTPS, then true, else false. So this needs to be false. Again, I think I need to create that field again. So let's create a field check URL. Let's just like URL field. Okay, so this will be URL. It's a lot of steps. You see, it was very quick in the beginning, but when you start validating, you can get lost. I am getting lost. Okay, so check URL. So why is not showing anything? Because I think this one is already doing a false. So if I do Rodrigo, okay, the name check is already there. So the URL, well, I am in the, okay, so which options do I have here? So it's still true. Remember, it's not null. Okay, name check. So I don't think that name field is null. So if I put name here, it's not null, it's empty. So that's the problem here. So let's go name check. So if name is then false. Okay. So let's go back to the button. Great, so it's back. Now it's gone. So let's add the other check, the URL check. Okay. Okay, now I have a field, and I want this to be false. So when I type HTTPS, okay, the form is still there, but the check was HTTPS this. Great. And now Rodrigo, yes, so now the two fields are working. You see, even if I type only one, it's still it should show either. So again, I don't think it's working still. So this is Rodrigo and this it. You see, if I type this still needs to show up because this is still. So let's check again. URL check. So if it starts with then true, else false. Else if URL field equals this, then false. Because this is empty now. Yeah, so okay, why that one field is doing the again? I think I need to have only one validation. That's someone is online, someone is connected. Okay, someone left. Okay, thank you. I think they saw that I'm lost, so they decide to leave. Yes, you can laugh a lot because I'm doing this. Again, the basic was to create the form, and that was done a long time ago. I'm just trying to build these validations, and I'm failing miserably. So let's try again. I think I need one check for both fields. So let's try a brand new calculated field if name is empty and URL check equal empty. This then this is so this will be false. Else 2. I want to check only the fields if the two fields are complete. Okay, because those fields are boolean. So let's go back to the inputs. If input name and URL. Okay. Okay, so let's try this guy and see what happens. I'm going to clear this. So no, not here because this is my button. On this third worksheet, so this is my calculation. I want it to be 2. So let's show the parameter, and show the parameter. Okay, and then I'm going to put here. Okay, so let's see what happens here if I clear this. So I have here Rodrigo. Okay, oops. Okay, so now it's not showing because it's not meeting the condition. So if the condition is this, okay, so if input name is empty and URL empty, it is false. And this is the two sheet. So this only shows if these two are not false. So let's go here, type Rodrigo. But it's still showing. Still showing. That's very interesting. Because I think maybe because this should be an AND condition and this should work by only if these two conditions are valid, then it's false. Okay, so let's try OR. Okay, so it'll be Rodrigo or URL. Okay, so I had to type both. So if I take one off, so I think that's the issue. I was combining with AND to be so either this or that is false, else true. Okay, so now let's add here a note. So either fields are empty, then false. So let's try now, let's validate the URL field. Okay, else if URL so starts with URL and then is the HTTPS. Okay, else if then. So I think I need to put input name empty or starts with then this will be false again. Okay, so I want to check this or this, this or this. Okay, so again the name is empty, so I see it's not showing. So if I type anything here, it should show because URL is starting with HTTPS. HTTPS is starting. So both conditions. So input name is empty, and okay, and starts with HTTPS. So let's see here. What should I do? Because this one is not meeting. So the first one, Rodrigo and HTTPS. And then I need to validate this one. Yeah, I think I had a long day and I'm very tired about doing these validations now. I think I'm doing something wrong here. So yes, because I don't. Because I don't. If it doesn't start with HTTPS. Wait. So let's see if I click yes, and if I put rod, and I only put HTTP. Yes, I think I made it. So it took a little while, but we got there. So this is checking if input name is empty or URL doesn't start with HTTPS. Okay, so technically now I'm going to come here and put this calculation here, and this calculation should be yes, it should not be false, so I need to add HTTPS here, so now it should be true. Yeah, so this worksheet will show when it's true, and the inactive button, so I take this off, I take this off, so this one should show when these two are false. Okay, great. So this should not be here anymore, there is no button, and here complete form. So Rodrigo and HTTPS. Yes. Now, why these buttons are not going away, I have no idea. So what I think maybe is the thing with the axis. So show header again. So if I remove this and remove this, so that's so let's just clear the axis range, show header, and do the same here. So show header, clear, let's go, let's put the input here, Rodrigo and HTTP. Okay, so let's edit the axis, so it's automatic. Let's show the header not. Okay, so it's still showing the two worksheets. Alright, so maybe I can move this here and move this here. Well, I did move a little, but that's not what I want. There's no showing the title. The title is not there. So submit is here, so it's going to show the form. But why it's not disappearing this guy, I have no idea. So it's the layout. I don't really like the title layout. Yeah, so this is pretty odd. Yeah. So for some reason this is not showing. Yeah, the button is there, but for some reason it's not showing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, now the button just went away. Standard. Again, standard is not gonna work for me. Okay, so this is pretty weird that it's not working the way I want it to work. The validation does work now. Again, you can do a much better validation, but at least we got a formula going on, so you can start putting more conditions here. You can say that the name needs to be more than 3 characters. You can do all of that. But basically, this is the form validation, the good one. I can delete all those fields that I don't use. Name check, URL check, URL field, name. So I don't need any of that, those garbage that I was building. But I really would love to have this button working. Maybe I can clear, because so let's go to this worksheet and remove the format. Let's remove the color. Okay, so now I have complete form and I have this. Yes, what I could do as well, there is several ways to do this. As I said before, one way is that I could do the same validation here and build the URL here instead of the URL action. So let's try this way. So I'm going to build here the Google URL form validation. So let me pick the formula here so I can describe. So let's pick this formula from here, copy, so I'm going to do this. So if this or this is false, and then in fact I can say here this is empty, and this is now, okay, now also empty, and else then I create the URL, which is a field that I can create here from here. So I can post here the Google Sheets URL, Google Form URL, so I can add here the fields that I want. So this will be name, yeah, I need to add a different way here. I need to put, okay, come on. So I need to put here the field right here. So input name right there, and I need to put similar to this one on the gender. It will be gender, and then the URL. And so I can put here, this will be URL. Okay, so what I'm saying, and hopefully this is going to work, that when these fields are, when these conditions are happening, I want a blank, or I could put no. Let's put no, a no, and a no. And then when everything on these two will be nulls, and this will be the field that I want. So I can drop these on the detail, So I'm going to have only one button now. So I can even take this off. Okay, so I'm going to, I really don't know why this button is showing to the top. I can bring it here. So I have the button back. I can take away the header. Again, so my button is back. I don't need this button anymore. So let's click here. Let me edit the URL to see what happened. So this is an empty URL. So if I click here, my conditions are not met. So see, I'm clicking on the button and nothing is happening. Oh, it did happen. So it did send even without data, because these conditions are not met. So I'm in those rules. So let's see what happens here. So if I put this Google URL here, you see it shows empty. So, and then if I show the parameter, if I show this one, and if I show this one, so rod HTTPS, then the URL shows. Okay, so I know what I'm doing wrong. I need to change the URL action here to use the new field. It's a lot of little things, guys, a lot of little things. So let's see this works now. So I'm adding to the URL action. Oops. I need to clear this. Okay. Now let's try. If I click, it still shows because I have the fields filled up. So let's go back. So I have, let's clear this field, and then I'll clear this field, I'll clear this field, submit button is here, and now it doesn't work. Okay, so now the button, really, if I click here, nothing works. I think that's the best way to go on this validation, and of course you can change the label of the button. So you can pick the same field here, the URL, you can duplicate, and instead of showing this, then you show submit. Okay, instead of showing the whole URL, you can show submit, and the others you show complete form. And here, complete form. Okay, so this will be the button label. Alright, so I'm going to put the button label on top of the button. You see that the form now it shows complete form, and then I can show Rodrigo, and I can put HTTPS, and now it's submit. Okay, and now if I submit, it's going to give an error because the form is, again, the validation of the URL is more than that. Again, you can take the URL validation from Google now that you're validating here. Again, you can do a lot of things to validate and get to this step, but I'm spending a lot of time just to talk about validation, and I think I'm happy that this worked, at least the validation, etc. So again, let's clear this a little bit. Let's hide all the sheets. Let's format this a little bit. I can do here and edit the URL. Let's clear it up. Let's put a title to this dashboard, and then we can say here Google form data collection app. Again, I think those people that had the questions about how to build the form, etc., I answered that in the first 10 minutes, and then I spend all the time. Your name. I spend all the time to try to show this validation. It was a lot of try and error, and I think I do a lot of that in Tableau. So if you don't do if you are a genius that do everything at first, congratulations. I'm not. Public link. Okay, so now here is the tweet. My form, it has the name, the gender. I can even add a little design here on this form. I can add a format dashboard just to make it a little less ugly than this. And then I'm going to add this white background, gray border, so I have this guy is starting to get shape. I don't know why exactly this button is showing not in the middle. I really don't have an idea why is that happening. Format, you see everything here, so I have no idea why this button is not showing in the middle. Again, I can, this is a standard, so I can, let's do view entire view. Yeah, you see it's not really showing in the middle where I want. Here it shows in the middle. Maybe it's the size of this thing. Let's reduce it a little more. Yeah, it's not showing very well. I really don't know exactly. Is this because it's square instead of a text? So let's do a text. Yeah, now it's showing here, and then I can format the worksheet, which is my idea originally. Why is not? Yeah, row dividers I need to add, and the column dividers I need to add, and then I can add the padding, like let's add like 100 on one side, 100 on the other side. I really don't know why it's still not showing the border. It's too weird. I really don't know what's going on. Why is not showing the borders? So is it, let's do a little darker so I can see. You see here it's not showing. Maybe because of this. I don't know. I don't know why they will the column divided. I don't know. So yeah, the axis rulers. Okay. Yeah, so now the button is in the middle. I think you guys can format this much better than me. So I'm going to clear this. It's very important if you do this, always clear the URL before saving, because otherwise every time this thing opens is going to send the form to Google. So that's basically, let's do here. Yeah, so this is inside of a container. So let's do a little like 100, and then I can add the padding, like, yeah, so it's that 50. Yeah, it's getting very big. So let's do 100. It's going to disappear. Oh God, you can tell me that I'm a little bit tired, but you know, it's a long day. Let's do like 15. Yeah, so I like that. Okay, so you can add padding everywhere, but that's exactly what I wanted to get. I don't need these inactive buttons, so I have a very quick form that I have Kevin for large. He's a male, and then I can pick his profile here. Kevin for large Tableau public. Here's his profile. I can paste here and complete my form, and here we go. I send another response to my form, so I have Kevin, Ken, and myself. Okay, so thank you very much. You had the patience of watching me do a lot of mistakes, but that's how we learn. So I hope you learned something on this video, and hope to see you soon. Bye bye.